base is dropped on Tuesday Thoughts here on Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer Down here. Thanks for hanging out with us. And it's a busy day on a fun front because you know me. I have multiple screens going during the show, and it is the desktop in front of me, laptop number one, laptop number two, and the big screen. And I got to bed about 1 o'clock. I mean, that's about normal these days. And at 1 o'clock, that was when business kind of picked up. And so when Jarrett and possibly Nick join, if they're coherent at this point, because we know that Jason is not, about 1 o'clock this morning. And I'll just go ahead and say it. It's the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, Kickoff Coffee CO, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go ahead and use the code SoccerDownHere15 with our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Get 15% off any purchase. They in turn take 10% and use it in the youth game. And it's very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Yes, Ricky Ricardo, it is happy schedule release day to all who celebrate. Hopefully we'll have some stuff to talk about. Maybe in hour number 2, but if not during the show today, obviously we'll hit it hard tomorrow. I think Dylan Butler is going to be joining us for his midweek visits and things like that. And those who have golden ticket status can parachute in at any time and let everybody know what they think about the schedule. But pretty much since late last night, and for those of you that like to kind of figure out where live television is at any given moment, there is a network, and I give Jason full credit for this. C5N is the big network, one of the big networks in Argentina, and they're on YouTube Live. Right now, they are on YouTube Live. And so for those watching on Twitch, that's what I have off of my left hip on the small monitor. In about 50 minutes, at the top of hour number 2, that is when the procession starts. If things weren't crazy enough at the obelisk right now for the Argentine national team, it's going to get really crazy in 50 minutes. But you had announcers cheering the plane. You had music being blared overhead. And about 1 o'clock this morning, our time, you had Messi and Scaloni coming out of the plane holding the trophy from the tournament that they won over the weekend. And I don't know if, morning, Sean, if anyone had ever plotted a parade route before. And this was a parade route just so they could get to the hotel in Ezeiza. This was just so they could get to the hotel and rest for what's going to happen in about 45 minutes. How much rest these guys have gotten since Sunday? It is nominal at best. You can tell by all of them wearing sunglasses and all of the photos that you see. But whoever planned the parade route for the team to get to the hotel with the open-ended double-decker bus, the open-roof double-decker bus, almost lost a couple of players at one point because of power lines. Now, if you were the lead electricity firm, the main electricity business in Argentina, how would you explain that? Yeah, we lost a couple of national team players because power lines were too low. But yeah, you had to have power. You had to have players ducking under power lines. Yes. And I mean, and Ricky, they were walking to get to a spot for the procession for them to go from the airport to the hotel or wherever it was that they were resting before you have the procession this morning and the celebration this morning. But yeah, so you have right now, and this is kind of a play-by-play, so, we're going to be letting everybody know what's going on. So yeah, if you want to do a screen experience, you want to do a multi-screen experience with C5N, then all you have to do is go on YouTube and type in C5N. They're broadcasting live. They've been broadcasting live for about a week, and they haven't stopped with this particular program. So they're broadcasting the parade. They've got multiple reporters on parade routes and things like that, and it's early spring, so they're ready to go. and it is, it is all hands on deck. In instance, the Caravan of the Champions. We'll see the Caravan of the Champions. So that's what you're getting right now on C5N in Argentina. It is beyond crazy right now, and it has been beyond crazy. And you had Lautaro Martinez, I think, had a drum. And I think it's safe to say that Jason, much like the Argentine national team, the Albiceleste, has not gotten any sleep since Sunday night. And so right now we're kind of keeping an eye on the parade, and we're keeping an eye on the Canyon of Heroes that is going to be shown in short order. And C5N, the network that we are choosing to keep an eye on here, that literally they are showing everyone and everything that has to do with this parade and getting ready for it. And the slight celebration that's going to happen in Argentina, having won their first world championship in 36 years. 36 years, people. And so we've got that this morning. We'll keep an eye on that. We've got some news coming out of the tournament. We've got some Atlanta United news. We have some news about people being stupid. Not a surprise coming out of the World Tournament. And I knew I forgot to do something this morning. So I will do that tomorrow. I'll have to write it down as a show of support for those who are being stupided against. Transfer tracker in Major League Soccer. And there's a lot of news that we haven't shown in USL Championship and USL League One. We're going to catch up on that. There's a lot of player movement that has happened recently. We'll catch you up on that as well. But obviously, we'll keep an eye on what's going on in Argentina this morning. We'll keep an eye on the weather also. And we'll keep an eye on the remnants of the tournament and keep an eye out for the schedule. So when the schedule is released by Major League Soccer for 2023, this is when we will find out who goes where and when we will figure out what our road trips are and where we're going and who's going where. But, yeah, there's been some player movement there as well. So, as Ricky says, it is happy schedule release day to all who celebrate. And David, I haven't seen any fighting horses. I've seen a lot of climbing light poles. I've seen climbing light poles. I've seen climbing fences. I've seen just gazillions of people on curbs and crowding open roof double-decker buses. Haven't seen fighting horses. I haven't seen that yet. Maybe you're a step ahead of me, but yeah, just I'm not sure about the Wednesday, Saturday scheduling thing. We'll see, Rack, but we'll see where it goes. But, you're looking for Apple TV and all the rights holders to sit there and have their exclusive windows. And it'll be, like I said, this will be an interesting test case because remember that, you're looking at a schedule in a first year in a new window. As far as I know, yeah, Michael, it's supposed to. Yeah, I know that we get it is schedule release day, but you'll get the teases. You'll get the teams that they'll announce like their home opener, and then their TV opener, and then it kind of leaks out piecemeal. Yes, so Badgermon's looking for. See, now I guess I should ask what folks are wishing for here. Atlanta, Seattle, early July, and Emilio's looking for a couple of Wednesdays as we go here. But no, you'll get like the season opener, the home opener. Then you'll get the full blown up thing. So we'll see what teams just start releasing, and we'll play along for as long as we're up this morning and figure out how folks are going to be reacting. Frankly, like we were talking about yesterday with Bart, I'm looking forward to probably, hopefully, maybe the trip to St. Louis City SC so we can see their new stadium. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to possibly going to Austin and then hopefully going to St. Louis. Those are the two that I have on the board. And I blame John T. Edge for St. Louis also as a part of this, considering as a true South viewer and supporter of the show, all of the places that he has shown that have tremendous eats So it's like you go on the road, you're looking for those places. So I did that in Austin when Q2 opened up, did a lot of stuff downtown. So that I've got a good handle on. St. Louis will be one that's interesting. Let's see. 505 miles, Badger. So let me double check that, Michael. So you've got a question about Nashville. One and done. As of September 30, CEO Ian Ayre announced the club was moving back to the Eastern Conference in 2023. St. Louis set to debut in the West. So there you go. St. Louis is in the West, and they're going to hang out with Kansas City, which will be an interesting. There'll be an interesting rivalry. And we got leaks. Ricky's got leaks, allegedly. Now remember, until everything is officially official, they're just leaks. So Dynamo Theory has a source that Houston will open the 2023 season February 25th on the road against FC Cincinnati, 7:30 Eastern kick, and a full MLS schedule be released today. So February 25th, interesting. Okay, so our intrepid watchers, listeners, and reporters are keeping an eye on any kind of leaks that are going on. So yes, please keep an eye on leaks, and we will continue to discuss leaks as leaks, and we'll go forward from there. So busy morning, and as always, thanks for all of y'all for hanging out as much as you do. So once again, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. That was the opening kickoff. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is Kickoff Coffee CO. Once again, you go to kickoffcoffee.com and you use the code soccer down here 15 to get 15% off of your purchase. They in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I don't know if you saw this, but there is I'm going to go to the long version of there is a for lack, and this is how he describes himself. Geert Jarrett. He's a professor at the Norwegian School of Sports Sciences and Football Psychology, and he has a community that he has started called footballpsychlab.com. And I don't know if you saw this, but it's a really great. There's English Goodly this morning for you, but it's a really cool breakdown of Emi Martinez and how he approaches his activity between the sticks. And especially, Jordi went and analyzed the penalties that were taken in the final. And so here's his description of Emi Martinez's tricks, and he's spot on with this. It's very, very cool stuff. So here we go. Martinez, and he has pictures and things like that, and and what I'll do is I will post his Twitter handle because it's a pretty decent follow for looking at the philosophy of folks and how they go about things. And he chose sure. Yes, you can use the website with your AP Psych class. Absolutely. So here we go. So here's how he breaks down Emi Martinez. He says, Martinez set the stage, took ownership of the penalty area from the beginning. While Lloris completed the coin toss, Martinez quickly walked to the penalty area, waiting for Lloris to come like he was welcoming a visitor into his own home. Quote, "You're in my house now." When Lloris arrives, Martinez initiates a handshake. Same with Mbappe. This is his style. He can be warm and lovely at first, which makes people drop their guard, leaving them more vulnerable when he later strikes. This ambiguity is in itself abusive and part of his strategy. At the start of the shootout, Martinez's disruptions are quiet and subtle. This is probably to get to know the referee and feel out where the line is drawn. With Mbappe, he urges the referee to check the ball placement. The referee kindly obliges, responds with a thumbs up, and there are pictures that go along with this. With Coman, Martinez is pushing a little bit harder, forcing the referee to politely intervene. Side note from me, if I'm picking up visual cues, if I'm Emi Martinez, Kingsley Coman did not look comfortable. And this was in the close-ups that we saw from the international the TV coverage. Coman did not look comfortable at all in his approach to taking penalty kick number 2. Back to Jordi. With Coman, Martinez is pushing a little bit harder, forcing the referee to politely intervene. Again, he gets the referee to check ball placement and elicits a compliant response. Now, Martinez knows he commands the penalty area and he can fully get to work. Goalkeepers rarely celebrate big after penalty saves. Martinez is an exception. Yes, he is. Research shows that big and intense celebrations signal confidence, dominance, and superiority, affecting teammates positively and opponents negatively. Martinez capitalizes maximally on his first save of Coman. And there's a quad box of the sections of the celebration from Emi Martinez. Next, with Tchouaméni up, Martinez is confident in what he can and cannot do. He's done with being subtle. First, he simply walks away with the ball like it's his. While the referee and Tchouaméni wait, he takes his time with it while urging the Argentinian fans to make noise. Once again, more screen caps. Then, instead of handing the ball to Tchouaméni, Martinez throws it away, forcing the opponent to fetch it. The disrespect is clear and obvious. No sanctions from the referee. This tells everyone who's in charge. When Tchouaméni is ready, Martinez gives him a smug smile. Tchouaméni missed. Remember, Tchouaméni just absolutely pull-hooked it in kick number 3. Paredes, then for Argentina. Martinez knows Lloris might stop being nice and use Martinez's mind games against the Argentinian player. He therefore quickly grabs the ball and hands it over to Paredes himself, not giving Lloris any chance to copy his latest move. Proactive and effective. With the 4th French penalty taker, Kolo Muani, Martinez first seems to communicate and gesture with a staff member on the sideline about Kolo Muani. Then he says several times, "I've watched you." And there's screen caps where Martinez is, he's focusing on his eyes, and he does that thing that we always see. We sit there, we poke our eyes at ourselves, and then we move them forward. That we saw. The yellow card is inevitable, but it's too late. Martinez is basically won. Emi Martinez's mind games are big, unpredictable, and calculated. He's the Machiavelli of football and has stimulated others to copy him and to create counter moves against him. With this display at the world's biggest stage, I'm curious to see how this will evolve going forward. So that was Gerard Jordi's breakdown of Emi Martinez, and we welcome Jarrett Smith in. And Emi Martinez, he is an absolute stud.
Yes, he is. He is a mental terrorist.
No doubt. When did you finally go to sleep? Because I crashed a little after 1. I started to see the guys come out of the plane once AR 1915 landed and all chaos broke out. When did you finally collapse?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
That wasn't what was keeping me awake.
Oh.
I just kind of kept up with it because I just happened to be awake, unfortunately. I flew back from Louisville last night.
That you did.
I flew out at 8, landed like 50-minute flight. It's great. Landed at 9 o'clock. Feeling good about life. And I'm seeing all this unfold. I get over to my car, get in the car, start driving north, and like it's a haul from the airport to Woodstock.
Why, yes, it is.
And Google Maps, the worthless banshee that he is, suggests I go through downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked the map, and it was clear. It's fine. It's like, cool. It's fine. I'll do that. It's like, I trusted enough to just go through downtown. It's fine. Yeah. They were doing traffic pacing on 75 north, just inside the perimeter. And when I say traffic pacing, I mean for about 30 plus minutes, we sat still. And the police were just blocking the road for something up ahead. I finally managed to navigate my way to the exit that was Cop Parkway, or just before Cop Parkway. And as I'm getting off the exit, they finally start letting traffic go. But yeah, I didn't get. By the time all of this is said and done, like I didn't get home till like midnight, and so like I'm finally like mentally winding down and watching all this stupidity unfold in Argentina. Yeah, I wasn't awake by choice. I did not intend to stay up and watch Argentina lose its mind. That wasn't
Oh,
my plan. The universe put me in that position, and I have yet to forgive the universe for such decisions. Also, I deleted Google Maps off my phone because I was so mad. And I'm
there you go.
just going to be petty about it
Because
yeah,
you can.
because I'm annoyed. Because when I like, when I worked in traffic. Like I know how like building traffic flows goes, and information about construction. They don't just do construction; it's planned. And the fact that they decided, we're just we're not going to mention the construction. No, get the hell out. I'm
Yeah.
done. I was so mad.
Hmm.
Argentina was drunk. Uh, Dibu Martinez is an absolute lunatic, but he's also brilliant about what he does. I was talking to Jess about this as well. What I'm waiting for is what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up with a bunch of people who are gonna try and emulate him, and they're gonna miss the key points about it because it's not just a matter of I'm going to be a psychopath and try and get under your skin. It doesn't work that way because he's not doing it from the jump.
Mm-mm.
I know you're going through the thread. I heard it when I was coming on. It's not a matter of I'm just going to be an absolute lunatic and try and get under your brain. Not from the jump anyway.
Yes.
It's a matter of we're going to kind of get you at ease, and then it's going to slowly build, and he's going to
Hmm.
find his limit, and then he's going to push said limit.
Yeah.
It is calculated, and it's really smart.
Hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to like all of these people who try and mimic him, both on, as Jess mentioned, on your Sunday leagues. But also, I'm looking forward to professionals trying to mimic him,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna get it wrong
Yep.
because it's not just a matter of trash talk. Like plenty of goalkeepers trash talk. Come on,
Yeah.
it's not that simple. But Debu finds finds the limits that he can push, and he finds that line. He doesn't just live at the line. He gets near it, and he dances away from it and back and forth, and tries to figure out, like what's going to be what can I get away with,
Uh-huh.
and then again doesn't just live at those limits. It's not that. It's not like getting up against the line and living there. He'll back off of it. He'll dance to and fro, and eventually he'll push past it and get that yellow card. But by
Mm.
then, as you mentioned, it's already too late. He's already in your head. I think one of the smartest things he does is after every kick, he's the one to get up and hustle and grab the ball.
Hmm.
He refuses to let Hugo Lloris get it. Hugo Lloris already like comes across like a super nice guy. Like Hugo Lloris seems like the kind of person you go to a vineyard with and just have a great time.
Yep.
But he makes it so that by grabbing the ball, Lloris can't do anything. And even if Lloris wanted to, at that point, after you've established this level of insanity and psychological warfare, anything Lloris does is going to look like an imitation, and it's just going to look petty and like, oh, he's just trying to be that guy, and it's not going to work the same way. It's getting underneath somebody's head by Dibu Martinez, but it's also a matter of making sure that they can't, making sure that the other goalkeeper can't return the favor. It's brilliant, and yeah, the second he saved that he made his first save, and honestly, like
Oh yeah, the
I
Coman save. Yeah.
yeah, I honestly, we were just talking about this with Jason afterward. Is when he almost saves the first penalty,
Oh,
like he gets a
Mbappe. Yeah.
fingertip to it
Yeah.
off
Mbappe.
Mbappe.
Yeah.
I want to believe that in his mind he went, oh yeah, I got this. We're fine.
Uh-huh.
Like it was the third time, and it's so tough for Mbappe. Like I don't know if we talk about this part enough. That's the third time Mbappe's gone to the spot in the game.
Hmm.
At a certain point, it's so tough to like to like memorize, like to be fresh in the head of a goalkeeper, especially one who is both very good from the spot, like Dibu, and at the same time one who is psychotic. like Dibu. Because he's great shot stopper on PKs. Like, all of these things aside, antics would only work so much if he wasn't absolutely great at making the saves from the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Mbappe was able to do it multiple times is, look, man, Mbappe put together. We talked about that's the best game that for me, and I know we haven't talked about it since I've been back on.
Right.
That's the greatest final of all time.
Yeah.
That's not soccer final. That's the greatest championship game of all time.
Yeah, we were talking. We were trying to figure out. Yeah, we were trying to figure out before the weekend on Monday. We were trying to figure out the best final, or the best game that could have been number one on your list that got knocked off that pedestal with this match.
As much as we hate it and we don't want to talk about it because we're in Atlanta, Super Bowl 51 is an objectively insane game that if you were a neutral viewer, like, it was great. If you were a neutral viewer, Super Bowl 51 is one of the craziest games you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Texas USC Rose Bowl national title game. Vince Young is up there. The entirety of the 1991 World Series with the Braves and the Twins is just it's just like, I was a kid. Don't get me wrong, but that whole series is just like, heart-pounding excitement for 7 games.
Right.
But this was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Everything about it. Kylian Mbappe put together the most impressive performance, in my opinion, we've ever seen on a losing effort.
Yeah.
Like, the man went to the spot 3 times in the game, put all 3 of them away. And Giroud goes out with the injury. Then you've got guys like changing left and right. Like, France is just changing stuff up. They've got to make something happen. It is that thing where, look, France gets to the penalties and they don't have the bodies. Like, you're asking Kingsley Coman and a bunch of other younger players to go to the spot and get the job done. And that's, like, it's tough. Like, it's not to say that they can't do it or they're incapable of it. You trust them. But it's different when it's not, like, maybe a veteran who's really comfortable in that situation, who's been, I don't know how comfortable Giroud is with penalties, honestly, but like a guy like him or Griezmann or Benzema, if he's healthy, like, the injuries catch up with you, the changes catch up with you. And man, Mbappe just did everything he could in that game to make it, to drag them back into it. And there's a great assist leading up to his second goal, which is one of the prettiest volleys you'll ever see. There's so much about this game that's absolutely stunning. Mbappe's effort in that final is it's up there with, we talk about LeBron in this 2016 NBA playoffs, 2015, whichever one it was, where he's he averaged a triple double against the Warriors. Everybody was hurt for the Cavs. Jerry West and what he was able to do, winning an MVP in a losing effort, like, it's up there with that for me. It's a Herculean effort that should not go unnoticed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, and I had this up. We have La Caravana de la Gloria. It is about to start, by the way. The Caravan of Glory. The obelisk, you can't find a space. There looks like, I swear to God, there has to be at least 1 million people there. The open roof double-decker bus, they're trying to figure out how to get it from the AFA offices and figure out how to get it into where they're going to have the celebration. So yes, La Caravana de la Gloria. It is starting. When you look at this match, and I mentioned this, I said, I anticipated Jason, who I imagine has probably had about 3 minutes of sleep ever since Sunday afternoon.
That's a him problem.
I know. But I just have this vision, and for those who might have been at the Roxy and might have seen Jason, I had one of 2 ideas. I had Jason as either like Leo Mazzoni in the dugout, sitting in a chair where he's just kind of rocking back and forth for the entire time, or making a rut in the carpet at the very back of the room on the second floor, just pacing back and forth. And I mean, if anybody, it's like, here, have this, and I just had Jason carving up the carpet with this match, and understandably so. But it was one of the most gripping pieces of theater that I think we have all ever seen.
It was. And there's so many, for me, there are as many, heart in your throat moments just in the last, 2 or 3 minutes of additional extra time as there are in most second halves of a tight game. Like, we went over this before. Championship games, a lot of times, and this one was an exemption because it gets forced wide open because of, what Argentina does. So, France has to come out and actually, open things up and try and be crazy about it. But, because you usually, you would just force it. You would just force it, to be a tight game because everybody would play it super tight, and that doesn't happen here. And then you get, Lautaro Martinez, who was one of the most worthless human beings I've ever seen.
Man!
In that moment, Lautaro Martinez. And look, I know he scored the winning penalty against the Dutch.
He had the game on his foot.
He had the game on his foot at least once, if not multiple times.
And
then just sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get Debo making an insane save he has no business making. That is, we talked about it. That is, for my money, the biggest save in World Cup history.
Crazy.
Because of when you consider the context of that save.
Exactly.
If he doesn't make it, France is winning the World Cup. Argentina will be the first team to ever blow a 2-goal lead in a World Cup final. That is Falcons-esque in the way they would have done it too. And man, Argentina's not recovering from that for a generation. That's gonna break that country if it happens that way.
Oh, no doubt.
But he makes that save, and then it goes down again, and you have Mbappe dribbling on the entire Argentine defense.
Oh my God!
And somehow, they step in.
Dybala comes out of
Dybala.
It comes from the left-hand side of the screen. You don't see him, and Dybala just comes screaming into the area and gets in the way and clears it.
Yeah,
because you can sense Mbappe is like, I got this. And there's an opening, and Mbappe rolls to his right again. Then all of a sudden, you see Dybala come screaming in from stage left and clears the ball into the third row. Plus Emi Martinez at 120 plus 3 with the biggest kick save I have ever seen.
Biggest save in World Cup history because
absolutely
it saved the nation.
It absolutely fits the dynamic of Emi Martinez.
I guess before I move on, so I went over this. So I talked about this in the build up, to the knockout rounds, where it's here's the difference between a guy like Ronaldo and a guy like Messi. Ronaldo, it just seems like everybody's he's still here. We're gonna try and feed him because we feel like we have to.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Argentine team felt like they lived and died with the idea of Messi is our captain. He is almost a godlike figure for them. And they were going to either get him, they cared so much about getting him a title or dying trying.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a different dynamic with the way the teams reacted to those key players. And just the absolute joy that they had, not only in winning a World Cup, of course, nothing's guaranteed. You might not get another one. There's a good chance. It's tough. But the fact that they were able to, get him one, and they're celebrating that cup for him as much as themselves and their country.
Yes.
It's a beautiful sight.
It's the difference of playing with someone and playing for someone.
Yes.
And to your point, Lothar Matthäus from Build on CR37. Quote, there is no doubt that he was a great player and an absolute level finisher, but now he has damaged his legend in a way it makes me feel sorry for him. I was there for 2 of the 3 sentences, but not the third. But Lothar Matthäus is spot on, and he's been getting a lot of thumbs up on the Bird app for what he said on CR37.
I don't feel sorry for him personally, but y'all do y'all. I could care less. After everything that man has done and said in the last, 6 months, even less than that, I can't imagine feeling sorry for Cristiano Ronaldo when he keeps digging his own grave.
Yeah.
And he keeps sticking his own hand on the stovetop after it's lit, and then complaining about it. Don't light the stove. Don't stick your hand on it and then get mad about it. Like, no one held a gun to your head and made you go talk to Piers Morgan of all human beings.
The Arsenal guy, and you're under contract.
Yeah, I use human beings in a loose term here.
Yeah.
No one made you go on and talk to Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
You chose to do it. No one held a gun to your head and told you had to slander Manchester United or the current coach or the former coach or former players or current players or a dog you saw in the window at a store. No one made you do these things. Nope. You chose to do them yourself. Why should I feel one bit of sympathy for Cristiano Ronaldo? Like one iota of sympathy. Why should I? What has he done to deserve any of that? Because I can't think of a damn thing that he has done to deserve anyone's sympathy.
Yeah.
He's just been an absolute me-first guy. His body's breaking down, and he can't be the same guy he was. Like, you know what? The last great moment we had for him was, was it the hat trick in Game 1 of the 2018 World Cup? Like, yeah, great moment for him. Nice work, bud. But that's it. Other than that, we haven't had anything great from him. Like a couple moments here or there, but like nothing like revolutionary. And everybody's body breaks down eventually, man. And at the end of the day, if you're gonna be that guy, all you are left with being is a grumpy old man whose past is whose physical style has finally failed him, and all you're left with is just being a dick to everybody.
Yeah.
No one wants to be around you. Given the way given what he has said, and given the way he's acted and talked, I wouldn't want him on my squad.
No.
I don't want to deal with that crap.
No, but Saudi Arabia wants to pay 3 years and $225 to make it happen.
Al Nasser wants to do it. Fine. I could give a damn. I have zero use for him. I have zero sympathy for him, and I don't want to hear about sympathy because he hasn't earned any of it.
Yeah. Let's see. A couple of thoughts on it. Airborne DJ Tom Russo, and this is pretty solid. This is right on. Recently heard it best described like this: Messi makes everyone around him better, while Ronaldo wants everyone around him to make him better. That is solid.
Messi did not complain and have the federation reach out about arguing whether or not a goal counted for him or counted for a teammate.
It touched my hairdo.
Like, who gives a damn? It's a goal.
Whatever.
I don't care. Like, you know what? If you give me a World Cup, I don't care if I'm the worst rated player out there. Because if I get to walk away carrying that trophy with my country's flag tied around my neck, I can pop a 1 off on every game on SofaScore rating. I wouldn't give a damn because it's still a title.
Yep.
I don't have to score the winning goal. Sure, it's fun if you do. I get it. That's what everybody dreams of. I think you dream more of winning a title.
Okay, smart play by the AFA this morning in Buenos Aires. Riot police forming a flying V behind the bus so it can make its way through the throng and into its position.
How mighty ducks of them.
Well played by the state police, forming a flying V and it's almost widened out. So there actually is some space. They've actually given about a 2-foot berth around the bus by the state police, who are armed with shields, and they are dressed in riot gear. Not a surprise. Badgermon, absolutely correct. There is no CR7 in team. That is absolutely true. Even me, who failed to win the spelling bee in elementary school, knows that there's no CR7 in team.
I just failed the spelling bee, but it's what it is.
Yeah, Ricky Ricardo. I spelled release with a C under pressure. Ricky Ricardo, don't think in 5 years anyone will care about how it ends. Time will mask it all.
That's tragic if that's the case, because like him falling off and, not being what he was is one thing. Him choosing to be an absolute dick to his teammates where he is still employed and his manager and the club where, and I get he didn't start at Manchester United. I know that. But the place where, where he really hit stardom, to be that guy and to absolutely trash everybody, that's just such a petty, childish.
Yeah.
Just.
No question.
You're showing me you never matured. Great. Whatever. I hope you fade off into nothing, man. And look, he's rich. He'll be fine. It's Ronaldo's going to be Ronaldo. Like, you could have been more, man. You could have been more.
Yeah. I know that we kind of have a second screen going on with the La Caravana del Campeones. Jason is recommending that Rodrigo de Paul be a must follow on Instagram with everything that's going on. Ricky's saying, and yet despite of all that, he'll be my favorite player and his peak will be the best I've seen. The man got me into the sport. It's untouchable for me.
Yeah, that's fine. Because at his peak, he was in that GOAT conversation for a reason. Because he was one of the most physically gifted human beings we have ever seen play the sport.
Yep.
I'm just annoyed, personally, that he has chosen to be who he is. I'm really annoyed by it. I want him to just, at this point, man, just go away. Like, you know what? Take a couple years off. Maybe think about everything. And, if it comes back to, like, a mea culpa, cool. If it doesn't, then just go be rich with your family and just, like, go home and be a family man.
Yes. With your abs. With your perfect abs. In hour number 2.
He's not the only one who feels that way. Like, I know a lot of people who, like, Ronaldo is that guy for them. And so it's what really annoys me so much about it is, like that you chose just to be that guy.
Yeah.
And it's an active choice that you made, and you should be embarrassed. You won't be.
No. Let's see. How long are you with us this morning? Do you
like 5 minutes more, and then I'm going to try and come back after 10.
Okay. Nick has some other real world stuff that he's trying to tackle as well. But one of the other things that I wanted to touch on after you depart, Christopher Camarani at The Athletic caught up with Andres Cantor. We'll play the Cantor call and get into the Camarani article in hour number 2. We got leaks and on the schedule. And I know that Emilio is asking why we don't get leaks on Atlanta United stuff.
Because they want it that way. They're very careful about that sort of stuff. Hawks were that way, especially when Danny Ferry was in charge. Alex Anthopoulos is that way with the Braves. Like when the Sean Murphy trade that went down last week, 2 weeks ago, I don't know. When the Sean Murphy trade went down, the fact that like that got picked up by Passan and a bunch of other people was as stunning to people as to like baseball fans, I think, as anything. Like the Braves don't let stuff get out. United doesn't generally let stuff get out. I saw the comments in the thread. Go back to Garth. Go back to Frank DeBoer. They don't just casually let stuff leak. That's something they don't want it to, and some organizations are fine with it. I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. Some organizations are fine letting stuff come out like that. Some aren't, and that's just the way they're structured. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think it's a right way or a wrong way kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Let's see. And I mean, leaks are leaks, and they're going to happen. But Top Bin 90, thanks to our number one leak looker, Ricky Ricardo. Top Mid 90 is reporting Charlotte FC will host the Revs to open the season week number 1. Then
I thought opening game was going to be El Tráfico.
Well, it may be on a TV perspective.
Oh, okay.
According
that's my confusion. Sorry.
That's my guess, my best guess. Top End 90 is also saying that Charlotte will travel to St. Louis week number 2 and play the first ever MLS regular season match at City Park. So it looks like
us that St. Louis will be on the road week 1.
Yes, St. Louis is on the road week 1.
Where it's like those word puzzles as a kid, where it's like identify all these things. Like Jack has brown eyes, Jill does not have blue or green eyes, and you have to figure out. I'm too tired for logic puzzles.
I know. Then, so that's the thought where that's concerned. So we have our first 2 leaks, and we are surmising fairly well. St. Louis City SC is going to start on the road. Interesting to see where they start. Is it Kansas City? Is it Austin? Where do they start?
It's MLS. It'll probably be something like Red Bulls.
Yeah,
not like a fun sort of. Not like a fun sort of we're going to build a rivalry out of this.
Right.
Or Nashville. Nashville and St. Louis will be spicy.
Yes.
I look forward to that. They'll probably be like, Red Bulls or New York City. That'll be fine.
Yes.
No, it won't.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. And so St. Louis, we'll figure out where they are when it comes to all of that stuff as well. So we're piecing together the schedule. Our resident leak looker, Ricky Ricardo, is keeping an eye on what he is seeing when it comes to schedule leaks and things like that. And Patrick Sullivan, you're probably not far off about guessing Jason went catatonic at moments during the World Cup final. I'm sure there were some blackouts.
I wasn't watching with him, but I imagine it was we're just all you can do is speculate until Jason actually tells you himself.
Yes. So
you'll just need you'll need a storybook from him, and y'all can bug him about it.
Yes. Let's see. Ricky, St. Louis hosting SKC should have been game 1. That would have been nice.
Or St. Louis and Nashville. Nick and I have talked about this before. Nashville and St. Louis have a little have a little hatred there.
They got a little thing. And then Ricky says, I guess it could have been at SKC2 week 1. It makes too much sense. We don't have any leaks out of Kansas City yet.
And yes, Ricky, you are right. CR7 is closer to playing MLS than he is going away. Yeah. I would not want to pay him because I would not want to have to build my offense around him personally. That's just me. If someone chooses to do that, I'm sure they will make a ton in revenue off of it. I would not prefer to be that. I would prefer to not be that team.
Yes. And Emilio, man, dental implants. I mean, if I had a cap put in a couple months ago, and I've become incredibly more self-conscious about my teeth ever since. But man, dental implants are not fun. Let's see. Bart, the only reason this makes sense is that Charlotte was the expansion team last year. St. Louis City SC is the expansion team this year. No other reason to give Charlotte a spotlight match ever. David, Austin versus St. Louis, last expansion team hosts the new guys as their welcome. And
that's not the last expansion team.
So we'll see how it lays out. Charlotte hosting, not Austin. So
you could make them play LAFC and just basically throw them to the Sarlacc pit.
Kind of like what the league did, sending Austin to Portland.
Oof.
Yeah, and
sent Minnesota to Portland back in 2017, y'all.
Yeah,
like a good Portland team. Like Minnesota had to go lost a 3-1, 4-1 game against Portland. Like Christian Ramirez scored a goal for Minnesota, and they were like, "Cool, we're happy."
Free Christian Ramirez. Oh, before you go, buddy. I talked about this late yesterday, but I wanted to get your thoughts about 33-2.
Man. Okay, for those of you who missed this yesterday, Celtic beat Aberdeen over the weekend. That's expected. Mm-hmm. Again, Scotland is really one-sided between the old firm and the not old firm. What was wild about it was the way it happened. Aberdeen at home after the Christmas break, playing Celtic, basically went into a turtle shell and lived there for the entire game. Celtic outshot them 33-2. Aberdeen did not register a shot on target. Celtic registered 10, I think. Should have scored before they did with a late strike. Kyogo Furuhashi absolutely had a sitter that he missed. It could have been like, as easily as it could have ended 0-0, it could have been like 2 or 3-0. And Aberdeen's manager mentioned that this is we tried to play open against Rangers and we lost 4-1. Like there's a middle ground there. This does again. Life doesn't have to exist in black and white. Of we either play anti-football or we play wide ass open and damn the torpedoes full speed ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You can play like Morocco does, where you sit, but you're also setting a line of confrontation somewhere other than your own 18 and trying to jump passing lanes and trying to, if somebody plays themselves into a tricky situation where you're trying to get them off the ball and you're actually getting bodies forward, because there's a play in that game where it's still tied at 0 and one of the Celtic defenders slips and Johnny Hayes is free down the left-hand side and there's no one there. Like he gets going, he gets the ball down at the edge of the box and there's no one there with him. The Celtic defenders get back. The guys from Aberdeen just kind of inching their way up the field, and it was an opportunity. I think it would have been It was on 2 attackers on 3 defenders going, and he chose. He had to pull it back because nobody came with him. I get that you don't want to go toe to toe with them. I completely understand it. For ages, I felt the same way about the way Celtic plays in Europe, because how the old firm operates with the difference with the golf and money and talent is not dissimilar from how it works for Celtic and Rangers when they play in Europe. It's what made the Europa League run for Rangers last year so much fun and so chaotic. That's not usually what they're able to do. But it's kind of that thing of like, would you rather die on your sword or die cowering in the closet? But there is a middle ground there. Like you can play defensively. We've seen it. Again, we saw Morocco. We saw Wales get to a World Cup, like absorbing pressure and basically waiting for you to make a mistake and then hitting you with it. Like ceding possession, but like clogging up those lanes and daring you to make a risky pass that you get wrong, and then it triggers a counter at speed. And Duke is good enough, I think, for Aberdeen. They've got the guys. They can make this happen, and they chose not to play. And Jim Goodwin defended everything, but I feel bad for the Aberdeen fans, because that absolutely that sucked, because you're literally. It's the first game after the World Cup break. You've got Celtic. I mean, they've got Rangers this week, and you're at home, and you just don't even really try. You just try, and basically you've decided at the first minute we're not going to do anything, and we're going to get a draw.
Yeah,
and God, that just it was a hard watch.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
It was a hard watch, and that was. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, I'd rather go out. It's what I liked about the way Celtic played in Europe this year. And yeah, they got thrashed a couple times. They also still can't finish consistently, which is amazing. If I want that, I'll just go watch Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I would and they did this last year with, God, who was it? I think it was Leverkusen. No, Leverkusen. Where I think they lost a game like 5-2, but it sucked, but they played on the front foot. They tried to press. They tried to carry the game. They tried to play with the ball. Like I can live with getting your teeth kicked in when you're trying to take the fight to someone, more so than I can live with. Like I can stomach that a lot easier than losing 1-0. Because you basically refused to play and your defense finally gave out in the 90th minute. Like, it's just, yeah, I did not enjoy it. Some Aberdeen fans were fine with it, and that's their prerogative. You asking me personally, man? I did not enjoy it. I was very annoyed by its entire existence.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Patrick, Aberdeen's really gone backward after McGinnis, even gone further backward since they let go of Stephen Glass. Patrick says, I expected him to push more. And
the funny thing is, like, Glass's best games is the Aberdeen. Like, look, he's that style really does struggle in Scotland. It's tough because if you're not an Old Firm team where the separation of talent is just mind-blowingly stark, it's tough. It's tough to be that similar to a team and to some of the other teams they play. It's tough to be that similar to them and carry play and expect to be able to find those points. And they were a couple times, but more often than not, they weren't able to do so. Aberdeen wasn't. But when they played Rangers and Celtic last year under Stephen Glass, those were their best games. Like they should have beaten Rangers twice. Both times, Rangers got bailed out by horrific officiating decisions.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
They lost to Celtic in both games because of just individual moments from Celtic. Because Shota's a $7 million winger, which is more than Aberdeen has. And in those kind of games, yeah, you're going to find the separation of wealth is a thing. It happens, but they played them tough. Those were their best games. Was when they played somebody who just opened the hell up on them, and they got a chance to go play toe to toe. And then between that and losing their best center back in the preseason, playing on basically a crater in Karabakh.
Oh God!
Like they did. I think they did everything they could, and then it just wasn't enough, man. I didn't hate the way that Aberdeen played last year. It wasn't perfect. They tried some wild stuff. Just didn't work. And yeah, I had hoped when Glass was gone that Aberdeen was going to keep that project going of we're going to keep this style going. We're going to try and take the fight to everybody, but we're going to get a different manager to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I was hoping that would be the thing. It was not.
And I believe you got real world stuff you got to take care of.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I'll see.
All right. So Jarrett might be back. So we'll see if Jarrett comes back later in hour number 2. Ricky, about Rangers and Celtic. If USC and UCLA can be in the Big Ten, Celtic and Rangers should be in the EFL. It's beyond time. But, Ricky, the SPFL won't allow that because then it would be the death of the SPFL. And I know then there are some folks who would sit there and say, well, the SPFL needs to figure out a way to kind of live on their own. But then where would you put Celtic and Rangers? Where would you put them? Would you start them in League One and have them work their way up? Because you can't just start them in the championship, I don't think, because you're going to have two teams that are going to be mad because of all of the promotion that they have fought through to get to a certain point. I mean, if you're John Nason, who's a friend of Coventry City, and you've got those guys hanging on right now. Let's think about this. All right, so you start them in the championship. Right now, if I'm a fan of Blackpool, Wigan, or Huddersfield, I'd be kind of chapped because they're probably taking my spot, and I'd have to re-earn my way in through League One. If I'm in League One, then you look at, say, Forest Green Rovers, the other team that left Wimbledon that I'm not going to mention by name as a member of the Dons Trust. I can't do that. Burton Albion or Morecambe. I mean, even though Morecambe kind of came in through the 6th spot last year and made their way through the playoffs. But I'm sure that if I'm a team that's in a relegation spot like right now, I'd be kind of, I'd be pretty hot about the idea of having to fight my way through all over again to try to get in if you sit there and you figure something out. But you can't put them in the Premier League to start. I don't think you can put them in the Championship to start. League One might be the place to start them. That's my guess. But then the SPFL and our buddy Neil Doncaster would have to figure out how to make them, that league, a viable a viable pyramid, something viable to watch. And they're gonna fight like hell. And I mean, it would be like the Pac-10, 12, 14 trying to keep USC and UCLA. At least that's what it would be for me. In trying to keep everybody in place, because Celtic and Rangers are your drawing cards if you're the SPFL. You don't want to lose that, because then what makes you? I mean, why would Paramount Plus want anything to do with the SPFL if Old Firm goes away? Nothing. It's a nothing product at that point. And there's no there to try to attract folks to watch the SPFL on a daily basis if Celtic and Rangers are gone. So so we'll keep an eye on that. Badger, thank you as always. It's great to catch up with you. And wore my bowling shirt the other day for Forward Madison. There was, and people were sitting there going, "What's that?" And so it turned into an instant conversation piece, which is the beauty of having those kinds of things in your closet. All right, so it's the beginning of hour number 2, and that means one thing. It's time to read a promo, so we'll get the music squared away and take it down to acceptable levels where you can hear me and you can hear this. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize Service. A Lemonize Service, proud sponsor of everything SDH. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Lemonize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these days. Wood Forest Green Rovers, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever, different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have either below the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when you reach below the sink or above you in the cupboard and you pull out that particular masking agent, you spray it in the air. That's all it is. It's a masking agent. This masks the odor. It doesn't attack it all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Lemonize do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. And here's how you contact them, and this is where I pick up my pen. Go to the website, lemonize.com, but do us a favor. After the .com, go /Atlanta, so everyone knows at Lemonize what part of the world that you are in, so they can help you attack your problem. So your full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com, lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. A Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. And, of course, thank you, Ricky. I don't know why the, okay, so 3 hours left in a poll that was posted by the Atlanta United social media folks. So I'm guessing that full schedules will be released around 1 o'clock. And the reason I say this is because Atlanta United, at 10 o'clock this morning, at 10:03, 7 minutes ago, for those of you listening on tape, should we release our schedule today? We will abide by the results of the poll. 20% of you say no. 20% of the folks who have voted in the poll so far said no. But so it looks like releasing the schedule is probably going to happen in the 1 o'clock hour, the 2 o'clock hour. Poll ends at 2 o'clock. Poll ends at 1 o'clock. 10:03. 3 hours left, so 1:03. So it might be 2 o'clock if it's after 1 o'clock. So no, you're not too into it, Ricky, because Ricky says might be too into it. But yeah, the poll ends at 1:03. Well, it ends at 1:03. Time of day that the schedule came out last year. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on leaks. Our resident leak looker, Ricky Ricardo, keep us posted on any other leaks that you find across Major League Soccer. We'll do that for hour number 2. So there you go. But before we go any further, I screwed this up yesterday, and I want to make it right today. Hopefully it doesn't screw me up, because we all know what happened the last couple of times that I've tried to play sound through this board. So we'll see what happens here. This was, 20% of the, that's true. Absolutely. Michael, 20% of the people are goofs. So yesterday, I wanted to end the show with this. So I ended it Peter Drury call. Whoops. That's what I get for not getting the music looped and pausing it. So here is, or at least I thought that you think you add something and then you don't. All right, so here we go. We're going to try it again, day number 2, with the call of Andres Cantor, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports. And here was the Montiel PK through his call, for those of you who missed it on Telemundo, an absolute classic from Andres Cantor.
Cielo lo hizo Guerrero, lo hizo Cuchufo, lo hizo el Tata, lo hizo Luque, lo hicieron ustedes, jugadores, que se ganaron el cielo. Argentina campeón del mundo, Messi campeón del mundo, no podía ser de otra manera sino sin sufrir. Argentina, la selección argentina de Lionel Scaloni es campeón del mundo. Argentina campeón del mundo, bicho. Manolo, 36 años, esperando, querido compatriota, le griten a usted también en casa. Argentina es campeón del mundo.
Andres Cantor with the call of a lifetime. And he had the game of a lifetime to do it. And Christopher Camrani caught up with Andres Cantor. And if you haven't seen the video that was posted from Cantor's TikTok, and that call in and of itself, that's only 1 minute and 40 seconds of that call. That's only 1 minute and 40 seconds of it. And from there, it continued and continued and continued. And it gives you goosebumps on one level. And then when you watch the ISO camera that was put on Andres Cantor, as he's making that call again, you absolutely lose it. I mean, you're human if you're not human if you don't lose it for a double negative. For a call like that, and for those that didn't necessarily know the background, born in Argentina, came to the United States as a teenager. So for him to see his country, the country where he was born, win a championship, and it meant something on multiple levels and multiple levels. And Christopher Camrani at The Athletic, this will be your requested/required reading of the day, and I'll just give you a couple of the highlights of it. He caught up with Camrani caught up with Andres Cantor, and obviously the voice was still a little raspy, especially a little before 5 o'clock in the morning local time. He goes some of the text. Nonetheless, in the 74th minute, Cantor turned to his broadcast partner, 86 World Cup champ Claudio Borghi, and asked without any sarcasm, "Is this real?" Argentina, and Cantor explained, "Argentina was playing so well, we were just 14 minutes away. I regret saying that because I know from experience, this is football. When France tied the match, obviously I had the responsibility of calling the World Cup final match and the tying goal." And then Messi poking the ball over the line in the 108th, Mbappe coolly equalizing again 10 minutes later. The moment Cantor kept mentioning Emi Martinez's otherworldly save in the 123rd, keeping Argentina very much alive at the death, I get goosebumps, I get chills of the decisive moment. And Camrani continues. All of it was a ridiculously entertaining, gut-churning precursor to penalty kicks. Eventually, it was up to Montiel to restore Argentina's place as a soccer power. What came out of love? Quote, what came out were my true emotions. I said from the very first interview in 1990 that I would be a hypocrite if I said I don't want Argentina to win the World Cup. But I had the composure and professionalism when France scored the tying goal and then almost went ahead and won the World Cup. Camrani, what poured out of the sport's venerated voice was a joy that hadn't coursed through his veins in 36 years. He said, quote, I showed I was human after all when Montiel hit the winning PK. And so you can find it, Camrani linked to at J Adrevet on Twitter. I'll only post it one more time. And for those of you that don't have the subscription to The Athletic, and I don't, apparently, I think I've logged on as more than one person. So they've got me for one subscription, and I got rid of the second one because they're trying to get me to come back at a heavily discounted rate. Oh, no, I messed that up. So it's J Adrove. Yeah, J Adrove. Oh, I did it again. Hang on. ADR. There we go. Adrove. There we go. That's better. J Adrove. Jose Rivera Adrove. So he has the ISO. Contour grabbed hold of Borges' white dress shirt and screamed. I shortened the goal because the scream every Argentine wanted to hear was Argentina campeón. Repeated it. Remember not only Maradona, but the great world champions that have also passed away like Cuchufo, Jose Luis Brown, Leopoldo Luque. Just remembered everyone who had so much to do in the history of Argentine football for these kids to be crowned champions today. And so don't know if it was the best game I've called in my career because it was kind of one-sided. It was really, really controlling my emotions for the 75th minute. Then we had a game and then talk about a roller coaster of emotions, the last 15, the extra 30, then PKs. Oh, my God. That was the most intense game of my life for sure. Don't know if it was the best play-by-play. The public will be there to judge, but for me, it was the most intense moment of my career for sure, end quote. So required/requested reading is the Christopher Camrani article at The Athletic, and posted the location where you can find the ISO, the call for Andres Cantor right in his face as he called the Montiel PK, and it just gives you goosebumps. And as someone who has called games definitely nowhere close to the amount of import that Andres Cantor has, I mean, as a human, you feel it for him, and you love to see that. You love to see that for someone who has meant so much to the game on so many different levels. So very, very cool stuff from Christopher Camrani. The parade continues. The Caravana Histórica, todo un país en las calles. So that's still going on right now. It's going to go for a while, trust me. So that's going to go. But other stuff that wanted to get into this morning, and I guess you could call it stupidity down here. And surprising no one, we got to see the stupid side of people when it came to social media again. And, Bayern Munich was immediately stepping up to the plate in this. Bayern Munich issued a statement of support for their French international forward Kingsley Coman after he was subjected to racist abuse following the 2022 World Cup final. Coman was one of three. It was one of three France players, including Tchouaméni and Colomouani, who they all received racist abuse. Tchouaméni and Coman missed their penalty kicks, but all three received abuse. Coman, Tchouaméni subject to racist abuse online after they failed to score as France missed out on retaining the trophy they won in Russia 2018. Incident recalled the treatment of Rashford, Sancho, and Bukayo Saka, who were racially abused following their country's defeat in the European Championships held in 2021 when Italy won on penalties. Coman plays for Bayern, and the Bundesliga champ sent a message of support on their Twitter account. Quote, the FC Bayern family is behind you, King. Racism has no place in sport or in our society. Coman came on as a substitute for Griezmann. And the fallout of the defeat and responses online, Tchouaméni disabled the comments function on his Instagram account Same was done by Randall Colomawani, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt and who came on as a substitute in the final by manager Didier Deschamps. In this particular go-round of stupidity down here, yeah, Super Draft is tomorrow, and we'll get into that just a little bit here in the show this morning. But I'm hoping, and this is after social media platforms said that they were going to be cracking down on this kind of stuff. All right, put your money where your mouth is. When this happens to Colomawani, Tchouameni, and Coman, get to it. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of people who feel like they can, as I hold up my keyboard here for those of you who are watching on Twitch, for folks that can get behind one of these and sit there and think that you're 6'4", 280 pounds worth of negative 3% body fat with your comments, get serious. Social media platforms, get serious. Find out who it was. Find out their IP addresses. Find out their handles. Suspend them from your social media platform and charge them. Whatever you can, charge them with whatever the appropriate charge is. I don't care. Throw the book at them, fullest extent of the law. Find out who it is, and I don't care who it is. Don't care. Keyboard warrior, this thing needs to stop. It doesn't give you the right to sit there and say stupid stuff and beyond stupid stuff and racist stupid stuff. Does not give you the right. Freedom of expression does not mean freedom from consequence. Find the IP addresses. Find out who these individuals are. Prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. And maybe, folks will learn a lesson. Might be a limited lesson from that particular individual or individuals and their little circle. But yeah, this stuff's got to stop. This stuff has to stop. It is just as easy to sit there in a time where something happens for your favorite team, your favorite athlete. It's just as easy to sit there and type out something of support than it is to sit there and run your mouth off a keyboard. Yeah, Niall, enough's enough. People don't seem to learn the lesson. Yeah, I know. And always, there has to be consequences, Ricky. You're correct. Niall, has to be punishment. Even though these people are behind a keyboard, still has an impact on the players. Yeah. And the one thing I forgot to do today was wear my Eintracht Frankfurt stuff, and I will wear it tomorrow. You, keep me on that. I wanted to wear my Eintracht Frankfurt stuff as support because that's the only thing I've got right now. I have my support for the Euro PKs, and I would love it if somebody decided to do the same T-shirt for these three because I'll buy that in a second and I'll wear it on the air. Stop it. And my request for all of you is if you know someone that thinks that they're being a keyboard warrior makes a difference by saying something negative instead of being supportive in a time like that, when that player needs to know that their efforts aren't just in vain, not just in a physical sense, but in an emotional sense. Stop it. If you know somebody who thinks that they can sit there and flex their muscles and be a keyboard warrior, stop them too. Tell them how stupid it is. Stop it, people. Legitimately. It's one of the dumbest things, once again, and it doesn't surprise me. Sadly, it doesn't surprise me that stuff like this happens. It needs to stop. And I want these folks to be found. I want them to be made examples of. Not just like 6 months and pay a $400 fine or something like that. No. I'm over it. Just because you think you can type something out in less than 280 characters on one of these things and sit there and say how big of an individual you are for how small someone else you want to make them, doesn't make you a better person. Really shows everybody around you who you are. Yeah, and Niall, that was my point for that particular social media platform. Get serious about it. Yeah, and those people in power. Yeah, as long as social media platforms and those businesses that are attached to it, meaning the organizations at the top, as long as they turn away from these kinds of things, and I can see it right now. There's going to be that 30-second PSA or the 60-second PSA that we're all going to sit there and say, okay, where was this 4 or 5 years ago? And it's going to come across, sadly, without the impact that you want. And, do it anyway, produce it, spend the money to make sure it happens, but make sure that you don't have people do this again. We seem to be saying the same damn thing over and over and over again. This has to stop. Has to stop. Has, capital H, period. 2, T-O, capital T, period. Stop. Capital S, exclamation point. Has to stop. So we'll see what happens. Sadly, I'm not holding my breath on it. La Caravana de Gloria continues, and it is making its way, as it well should. There's like 11 gazillion people at the obelisk in Buenos Aires, and you got players. Looks like they're spraying water on the crowd because it is a rather temperate day in the early spring or early summer. It is 84 degrees. It looks like 54. So 27 times 2, 54. Add 30, 84 degrees in Buenos Aires right now. So yeah. Wow. Okay, so at the obelisk, basically you can't find a place to stand, and down the main drag you can't. No, there's no chance of you seeing anybody doing anything. So we'll see. But I had to bring that to the table this morning, disappointingly, because we continue to see this kind of stupidity. There was some news yesterday just to keep an eye on when it comes to Alan Franco, courtesy of Gabriel Sá out of Brazil from Jovem Esporte. And Gabriel, who has 32,400 followers on Twitter. And it's something to keep an eye on. One of the names Sao Paulo FC has an eye on for their defense is Alan Franco from Atlanta United. Attempt is on loan with an option to buy. It's an old wish of the board. Other names were also consulted. So keep an eye on that. So we'll see what happens with that news. If anything, like I said, it just popped up yesterday. And so we'll keep an eye on that too. Major League Soccer. Now, obviously, it kind of looks like it's going to be, 1, 2 o'clock when you're going to see the full schedule release. So obviously, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Looks like Dylan Butler will be back with us tomorrow as well from MLSsoccer.com. Perhaps both Nick and Jarrett will have recovered by then from everything that we're seeing from La Caravana de la Gloria. And we'll talk about that as well. But we've had some player transactions in both Major League Soccer and in USL Championship and League One. So we'll go over that. There's been some really interesting stuff that has worked its way through. Looks like Matias Pellegrini from our friend Cesar Luis Merlo. Looks like he's going to be at NYCFC next season. Philadelphia Union have re-signed Joe Bendick. Galaxy have re-signed keeper Jonathan Klinsmann. They've also signed Jonathan Bond to a contract extension. So it looks like we know what the goalkeeping situation is going to be in Major League Soccer in Los Angeles. So the transfer tracker has the Galaxy all figured out. You've got also on the board, it was a Toronto FC signing defender Matt Hedges. That is officially official. Through the 24 season, options for 25 and 26. Deal was completed using TAM. 32-year-old center back, all-time appearances leader with FC Dallas across all competitions at just under 350. Spent his first 11 seasons with the club. until his option was declined in 2022. Bill Manning in a release. Bringing a dominant center back was one of our priorities during this offseason. Happy to have Matt joining our club. And if you're a Toronto FC fan, you're sitting there going, amen, brother, because you got problems at the back you need to have squared away. Defender of the year, ton of MLS experience that'll lead the back line. So be interesting to see where Matt Hedges falls in here. But Matt Hedges is now Toronto FC. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Victor Vasquez has rejoined Toronto FC after departing the LA Galaxy. So another piece of firepower heading to Toronto. And so we've had some news, bits and pieces. RSL re-signed center back Marcelo Silva. CF Montreal, soon to be Impact, probably, hopefully, maybe, re-signed James Pantemis. Whitecaps have transferred Derek Cornelius to Malmo in Sweden. Dallas has signed defender Marco Farfan to a contract extension. DC United has signed Alex Bono. Sounders have re-signed club legend Freddie Montero and signed homegrown goalkeeper Jacob Castro. So those are the transactions that we have seen so far. And joining us is Morocco Man himself.
Ooh, what's happening?
Let's see. We have La Caravana de la Gloria going on right now. And it is madness, but
It is.
that is not necessarily a surprise. No. How late were you up watching everything last night as the Argentine national team was flying home?
I would say I was up until about 1, maybe 1:30. You could start seeing some of the bags under the eyes. The news coverage in Argentina as the plane is like rolling up, like the plane touches down, you have people clapping, the reporters, they brought the plane down that way. Okay. To see that and then to have Messi and Scaloni walk off the plane first together. It was just, the crowd's going nuts as well. And then the players almost get taken out by a power line, because,
Explain that. If you are part of if you're part of the Argentine version of Georgia Power.
Right.
Explain that one.
Sorry, guys. Our power line across 3rd Street almost decapitated the best player in the world and the new champions. Hate it for him. We'll try to fix that next time.
Oh man.
It's absolute insanity, and I think it was 100% worth staying up for. Just because it was like a cocaine-fueled madhouse down there, and that's really an understatement. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just a delight to watch the full-on shenanigans of Argentina. And I'm glad it's them. If it's anyone else, if it's France, if it's England, it's going to be more subdued. And if it's England, it's like, it's calm, man. It's all right. Mushy peas and beans on toast are flying everywhere. Mm-hmm. Peppa Pig is probably rolling nonstop on the screens in downtown London. And then you have, with the France, it would be like, Les Sicos, like, nobody wants that. Come on, get out of here. But what we want is pure, unbridled insanity. From a wrestling perspective, I want Royal Rumble, Hell in a Cell all combined into one event. That's essentially what you have here. It's like Papa-Palooza. It's like nonstop, the crowd's going nuts. So we have that. I'm glad we have that, John.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun to watch, and everyone's screaming into microphones. And like I said, and I've told everybody, I said I have with my 4-screen experience here in Office HQ.
Mission Control.
It is, because I'm keeping an eye on all of the schedule leaks, because it looks like schedules are going to come out this afternoon, either about 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yep.
And Atlanta United has already said on Twitter this morning that should we post our completed schedule today? And they put up a poll. We'll abide by the results of the poll.
We'll abide by the results of the poll.
Yeah. And actually 20% of the folks have already said that, no, don't release it today. Like, what? Okay, fine. But yeah, so a bit of a contextual poll that was put up by Atlanta United. So think the schedule's probably going to come out like somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock, the full schedule. Super Draft is tomorrow at 5. And despite what national folks are saying about the Super Draft, no. What is being said nationally is not correct. It shows a complete lack of awareness of what's going on here.
Cool.
Color me surprised that is happening. Look, you're not going to get us. You're not going to get somebody who's going to plug into the lineup at number 7 immediately.
No, you're not.
With this roster.
You're not.
So, despite what's being said in other places, 5 o'clock tomorrow is the Super Draft. We'll keep an eye on that. We've had a couple of leaks. It looks like St. Louis City SC is going to be starting on the road and have their first match at home in week number 2. It looks like the 25th of February is going to be the date that folks are going to be starting their schedules. So we're starting to get some teams sit there and go, leaking sources saying this, and this. So we're getting some folks who are getting leaked first matches and things like that. But we'll see if that happens as we go. Statement has come out from L'Équipe de France, the FFF, and we talked about it just before you came on, where Coman, Tchouameni, and Kolo Muani were subject to racist abuse on social media. Following the French World Cup final, several players from the French team were the subject of unacceptable racist and hateful remarks on social networks. The French Football Federation condemns them and will file a complaint against its authors. So that came out from the FFF this morning. So, and I said, this got to stop. It's stupid. It's just absolutely stupid, and get serious about it. If you're going to get serious about it as both a social platform and individuals about posting this kind of stuff, get serious about it and take it to the fullest extent of the law. I'm tired of it.
Well, here's the thing that gets me, and please excuse the headphones that are a bit askew at the moment, so that way I'm not shouting into the microphone. I saw a lot of these posts where some Nimrod, has the French national team. They're in their pregame. They take their pregame photo, and it has like the national flag of their parents' birth. And so, there was a lot of African nations on there, and they say, oh, they don't care because, if they were like the Argentine players and had a unified love of country and look, it's unbridled hippo poop. I'm trying to keep this show so we can distribute it to as many places as humanly possible. So I'm going to say it's unbridled hippo poop.
I need a bleep. I just need like a bleep.
We have to. Yeah. So this goon squad, these intellectual miscreants of society who decide that they alone are the 23andMe Ancestry.com of the international footballing world, can accurately say that because a particular nation their national team is comprised of the children of immigrants cannot be successful. It's absolutely ludicrous to me. And France, when they won in '98, they won with a group of players that were largely the children of immigrants, including one Mr. Zinedine Zidane. But we throw that out the window, right? When they won the last time around, they won with again largely the same lineup of children of immigrants. But nope. That that doesn't count. And every World Cup winning roster has players who are children of immigrants, and this idea that somehow now, because France loses to an Argentine side where the players are, McAllister, is that a traditional Argentine name? Is McAllister a traditional Argentine name? Yeah, let me know how that works. Yeah. But if where would France be without these guys? That's the question I have. If you take off all of these black athletes, that went out there and ran their asses off, and the same thing goes for England, right? Where would your team be? If you had nothing, but Johnny and Timmy and Kyle and Steve running around out there, maybe you're competitive, maybe you're not. But I can tell you one thing: talent is talent, and it doesn't matter the skin color. If the talent's there, the kid needs to play. And this whole BS about, well, this kid's parents are from Gabon and this kid's parents are from Ghana and Algeria and Morocco and whatever. You know what? No one cares. Look, at the end of the day, you have to have the best players on the field available. This French team, went toe to toe with an Argentine side that had the entire universe backing it outside of Portugal and maybe Brazil and probably England. But you tell me where's France without Mbappe? Okay. Who was creating the space in that game for them, right? Who was putting them in position time and time again to be dangerous, right? Who had a shot that was saved only because Debu went like full on Neo Matrix mode in the last moment. If that shot gets past Debu and somehow France wins, are these same stupid memes being published? No, they're not. So why are they being published? Because you're an ignorant, limp-phallic loser who somehow has tied your entire manhood, your entire genetic line to a sports collective success. And because of that, you're a keyboard commando. You are the Delta Force with Control-Alt-Delete. And at the end of the day, you're a worthless mech of humanity who needs to go and touch grass and understand the oxygen composition of the atmosphere, because you, sir, have been spending entirely too much time in your open world meme creation collective. And at the end of the day, you're contributing nothing to society. You're a waste of genetic code. We could have made 3 good people out of you instead of having you out there publishing these stupid memes that mean absolutely nothing at all. So France deserves a ton of respect, because when Argentina goes up 2-0, everybody on social media was saying this game is over. This game's a wrap. It's boring. It's no good. And then France came out like Tyson Fury in the second half, got up off the mat, and went toe-to-toe with greatness. That is something that should be applauded. I have no terrible things to say about France. I don't have any sort of negative things to put on France. They played their asses off. Those kids ran. It had no business running as hard as they did in those final moments, and it almost paid off for them. It almost paid off for them. And you had a goalkeeper who stood on his head at the end of the day. And so for these fake nationalists, these Nazi wannabes, these junior Nazi societies, to come out and start saying that they want an all ethnically French. We all know what that means. Just like when they say we want an all ethnically Italian, we want all ethnically English, we want all ethnically what we know what they mean. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You want an all-white Mayo factory lining up for your team. Okay, that's great, wonderful, good for you. Now get out, because you're not there anymore. That whole line of thought, that entire way of being, this zero immigrant policy that so many people tout before they go and they order their Thai dinner, or before they go and they wear their clothing that has designs that were first created in Africa or the Middle East, that they think is just so wonderful, as they adjust the table on their Persian rug, and as they go and they add saffron to their evening meal. You aren't getting jack blank done without immigrants. Jack blank done.
Jack-ish.
Yeah, nothing. You're getting nothing done without immigrants. So shut your mouth, get in line, buy your jersey, and enjoy the fact that your team made it to the finals, because you could have a team like me that didn't even make it to the damn tournament to begin with. So outside of that, have a Coke and a smile and shut your face.
FIFA rankings came out about 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S. is ahead of Germany and Mexico. U.S. is at 13. Germany's at 14. Mexico's at 15. Morocco's at 11.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Should be higher, but okay.
Yep. Croatia's at 7. England is 5. Belgium is 4.
Overrated.
France is 3. Argentina 2. Brazil 1. So let me get this straight. Argentina and France make it to the last game of the tournament, but they're 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And Brazil, who didn't, is still number 1. Morocco climbs to 11th, and they're the top-ranked team from the African continent. U.S. is at 13. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that correct. That the 2 teams that made it to the final game of the tournament are ranked 2 and 3 in the world for making it to the last game of the world's greatest tournament. And
I don't know. I guess stupid people need a job. I don't know.
So I saw that, and that came out this morning. News from Serie A, and it has come out in the last 15 minutes or so.
Ooh.
And heads up from Ricky Ricardo for this. From Gianluca Di Marzio, from Sky Sports Italia, and from Fabrizio Romano.
Mm-hmm.
Salernitana set to sign Memo Ochoa on a free, and the contract will be valid until next June.
Great business. Great business. Great business. Salernitana needs a little bit of solidification. Franck Ribéry, the shell of Franck Ribéry retired, and that team needs help. So I think it's a great bit of business. You sign them on a free. And of course, there's agent fees and commissions and things like that will be paid out. But I think it's a great move for Memo Ochoa. I think it's a great move for Salernitana. And there's nothing wrong with playing your final days in Italy. I think it's a beautiful thing to do that. So there are far worse places you could be. Yeah.
I mean, you end up with a Liga MX and national team legend in Memo Ochoa going to Salernitana.
Yep.
That is not 2 things that I would have put in the same sentence.
No, but what you've had for a long time are Italian teams running on the cheap, because finances in Italy. In the classic days of Serie A, you had a handful of billionaires that were running everything, and so you had you had Inter and Juve and Milan, all operated by billionaires. You had Roma that was constantly changing hands and trying to punch above their weight. Fiorentina was, essentially what they are now, which was, we're going to grow a lot of talent. We're not going to be able to keep them all. We're never going to be able to assemble a team because, we have to ship these guys off before they can gel. And when COVID happened, you saw a mass influx of new ownership in Italy. And so with these slightly deeper pockets, now Italy can start spending some cash again. Now, would I like to see a bit of Italian talent, coming in there, younger talent for the sake of the national team? Great. Yeah, sure. But rising tides raise all boats. And I think Memo Ochoa can help, solidify that position for Salernitana, make them more competitive. And then I think also that he can help train this next generation of keepers too. That that if you were a young Italian kid, then there are far, far worse people you can learn from than Memo Ochoa. This guy, he looks the exact same. When Mexico played Venezuela at the, I want to say it was 2009, 2010 at the Georgia Dome. I was there covering that game, and Ochoa looks the exact same now
He does.
as he did then. Like he and Paul Rudd must go to the same, dermatologist.
On Cusack, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like these guys, I don't know what they're doing, but they need to, they share, please.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Ricardo, wonder where this will leave Club America. I'm sure they'll spend, but this has, big. Yeah. This is a big issue for Club America. Replacing a legend, especially in between the pipes, is extraordinarily tough. There's that comfort between the back line and the keeper. When can I pass back to the keeper? Under what circumstances? Under what pressures? When you have that level of familiarity, it's far easier under pressure to just drop it and send. But in the end, father time comes for us all, and it's great that Ochoa is able to extend his career in a place like Italy instead of having to go. Like I would much rather see him go to Italy than go to like say Turkey, where there's going to be an immediate demand for him to perform at an absurdly high level. The pressure, I don't care what anyone says, the pressure in Turkey is beyond intense. Go to Salernitana. You're going to play in a great facility. You're going to have the opportunity to really be the face of that team. So I think it's good for him.
Yep. Tocayo, namesake, John Arnold, over at Get CONCACAF. And if you haven't subscribed to his Get CONCACAF, I would recommend it. Highly do, because he is one of the most expert guys when it comes to this particular hemisphere. His thoughts: they knew Ochoa didn't have an extension with America, and last night Tano Ortiz has consistently said there's a plan B and a plan C. He's got faith in Oscar Jimenez, but an extension felt most likely, or even a move to MLS. I would have thought maybe going to Houston or something like that would have been something for Memo Ochoa. But
if somebody came to you, and you're not a U.S. citizen, and somebody came to you and said, look, John, you can finish your career. You're going to go from Mexico to Houston, or you could go to Italy, get paid really well, and receive significant tax breaks.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. If I had no attachments, getting back to the world rankings, Michael Head, and we think college football rankings are ish. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, rankings are conversation starters. At the end of the day, they're conversation. At this point, they're conversation starters. That's all it is. FIFA knows that the minute the trophy is lifted, that the global eyeballs shift back to club. FIFA cannot stand that. They can't. There's not a symbiotic relationship between the federations and FIFA. FIFA is constantly in this little bratty battle, especially with UEFA. They have no problem stirring the pot by issuing these rankings and having everyone suddenly jump up and get on social media and or wherever and go, FIFA, you're so stupid, because everyone's talking about FIFA. Whether it's good, it's bad, you're talking about them, right? And as a result of that, FIFA wins. We could sit here and say, yeah, FIFA's stupid. They're stupid. Look, they know those rankings are hippo poop. They know it, right? They know. Come on. They sit there and they say, okay, give me the top 20 teams. Okay, we can't have them at one. It's obvious. So just drop them down a couple. Give people talking, And then that's what they do. Look, I cut together a piece when I was at NCAA.com with March Madness, and it was the myths. It was a MythBuster episode, for lack of a better term, where we had members of the committee talk about what goes into the selection process, and everything was pretty cut and dry until they got to rankings, and then every one of them started going into the most lawyer of lawyer speak. Well, when we look at a coefficient with the alignment of the x-axis of Jupiter, the barometric pressure of a salt packet, and then And then what's great for stakeholders in these particular situations. When you hear stakeholders on anything,
yeah,
you're a lawyer.
That's your keyword.
That's No one in their right mind. We're not sitting around having a cup of coffee saying, John, stakeholders. No, that doesn't happen, right? So they know. They all know. They know what puts butts in seats. They know what creates controversy, and controversy creates and content create cash.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these rankings are stupid. And the U.S., as we said in the middle of the tournament, and I'll say it now, there are a ton of federations globally, including among traditional powers, that would love to have the situation that the United States men's national team has. I am jealous. I am not a U.S. men's national team fan. I have never been a U.S. men's national team fan. I will never be a U.S. men's national team fan. I'm just not. When the U.S. did well in this tournament, I was like, oh, yeah, good. I wasn't mad. I wasn't sad. I wasn't like, wee. It was like, okay, good for you. The amount of quality youth talent that is coming through the U.S. pipeline right now, it's the envy of a great many people. I don't know if Messi has another World Cup in him. He says he's not retiring from the national team. Almost guaranteed he believes he has another Copa America in him.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing in a World Cup in the U.S., a move to Miami makes a ton of sense so you can acclimatize and prepare. And, I think that makes a world of sense. But if you're Portugal, right, the removing Ronaldo from that lineup is not going to be easy politically, nor from a media perspective. The team performs better without him. It's observable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But they have questions there on how that's going to work. Germany, are they set for another reboot? That's something else they have to sort. England, they are going to have some big name players who are not going to be in that next cycle. So can they just reload, right, and be competitive? What about Italy? Italy's in limbo at the moment. They have players who are too old who don't need to be starting anymore. They have young players who need to get meaningful minutes. What about Brazil? Can Neymar physically hold up for another tournament? I don't think he can. I just based on the injury history of this man, I don't. He may have one more. I don't know, but as far as what are some of the answers for some of these other clubs and programs? Can the Dutch? What are the Dutch going to do? Right. I think there's more questions than answers with the Dutch. France. Olivier Giroud, who was a key component to powering through some of these tough games, especially when some teams elected to go bunker against France, and they couldn't get the transitional track meet that they were so successful at winning. Olivier Giroud's not going to be there in that next World Cup. So there's a lot of questions that a lot of teams are going to have, some perennial powers. The biggest issue for the U.S. is who's going to be coaching this squad, come 2026. The players will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be very, very good. But who is going to be leading that team? And can the U.S. Soccer actually unify a fractured fan base, even if Berhalter's it remains, to help ensure that, hey, look, it's one team, one fight going into 2026. You're going to need that, because you're going to have to do something really stupid, like put the U.S. men's national team into Copa America so they have a hyper-competitive situation to prepare them for the World Cup, because you don't have to do anything. You just show up and you're in, but there's a big difference between showing up and owning the spot. So.
Why? Yes, there is. Let's see. There was a gossip rumor and innuendo this morning. Everton close to signing a new contract with winger Anthony Gordon to keep him away from Chelsea. N'Golo Kante pushing for a move to Barca when his Chelsea deal ends next summer. Advanced talks over a pre-contract. I'd like to know how he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
PSG will open talks with Messi following his World Cup heroics with his current deal expiring next summer. They want to do they want to do a 1+1. There's already the +1 that's on the board, and so they want to try to do a 1+1 with Messi. Bayern Munich interested in signing Emi Martinez. And in hour number 1 this morning, we discussed the psychology behind the PKs. From Gears Your Day, we went through his analysis of what you saw from how Emi Martinez completely, totally controls the situation inside the area when you're in a penalty kick situation.
Yep.
And so linked to that in the talks this morning.
And for anyone who says it's Bush League or it's cheap or look, is Argentina hoisting a trophy? The answer is yes. Are they currently sending their whole country into hysteria? Yes. Are there SEC teams that do stuff like this on a regular basis? Yes. And every dog pile in football, somebody's getting their ankle twisted. Somebody's getting a fish hook, somebody's getting gouged in the eye.
Yep.
A finger's getting bent back or 3. And
body parts are getting punched.
Oh yeah. In baseball,
body parts are getting punched.
Yeah, in baseball, players that are getting, hit by pitches and everything else. There's all kinds of cheap shenanigans taking place in every sport around the world. And if you sit there and think that everyone should operate by, this false 1922 mentality, I've got some really, really bad news for you. And, that's the world, and especially athletics, are far more in the realm of WWE than you may like. And so it's best you can want things done a certain way, but Dibu plays psychological games and he wins. So
Carlo Ancelotti's distanced himself from the Brazil job, saying he wants to stay with the European champions. It's from
he's not leaving.
It's from RAI Radio 1. Mbappe could soon announce he'll leave PSG at the end of the season. Real Madrid is interested. That's from Sport. Barcelona keen on signing Celtic and Croat fullback Josip Juranovic, but face competition from Atletico Madrid and Premier League clubs. Napoli director Cristiano Giuntoli has dismissed Newcastle's chances of signing 21-year-old Georgian winger Kavica Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia says he has plenty of admirers, but says he feels at home at Napoli. That's courtesy of our friends at Football Italia.
Happens often. All these guys come knocking on the door in Naples, and they all say, I feel at home, because Naples knows how to treat their players. Winning or losing, they know how to treat their players. Why go somewhere where you're going to be treated like crap by local fans, by the media? Napoli is very, it's more insulated than I think most teams, even within Italy. And there's very much an us against the world mentality there. So why leave that? If you feel like you have the backing of a city and the full backing of a team, I make $500,000 more, maybe.
Is it worth the grief?
Is it worth the grief? And is it worth the cost of doing business? And so that has to factor into the decision-making process. And Ancelotti, Ancelotti's the only job that I think Ancelotti would leave Real Madrid for is the Italian national team job. And I think that's the one he wants that to be his last job. That to me looked like a name that somebody just threw out there and said, him, and so no, he's not. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Messi at PSG is going to happen for a couple reasons. One, I don't think that the question really is going to be, can the dynamic between the two stars of the World Cup finalists be such that they are able to be successful? Can Mbappe get over the hurt early and ensure that Messi feels like, okay, I'm not being ostracized in this locker room, right? Also, if you saw the pictures out of France, they have a Messi jersey like at the ground outside of a bar, and people are walking over the Messi jersey to get in. Is Messi going to want to be in a town that may not necessarily welcome him.
Yeah, that first home match when they get back into Ligue 1,
yes,
that's going to be an interesting watch.
Right, exactly. And so, what is that locker room going to be like? What is what is the situation in Paris going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that extension happening. I see that move to MLS happening sooner than later. Now that he has the trophy, Scaloni is almost certainly going to be retained. Messi will, Messi could be playing in like the cardboard box league and still be called up. It's an open spot, a golden ticket. Do you want to play? Yep. Okay, cool. Come on. Well, I'm like 50 now. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yes,
Come on. So I don't see that. It doesn't matter where he is, and I think he's comfortable enough now in his career that he can make that move to MLS. The Moss brothers, I think, will pay him everything he wants and more. He'll have a great life in Miami, and he'll be able to do what he wants to do from a brand building perspective and not have to worry about any of the politics that are taking place in France. And I think that's far more appealing for somebody like Messi and his camp than dealing with any sort of internal strife or any sort of BS that is going to happen between Brazil, France, and the Argentine team members there. So to me, the PSG situation, especially in the middle of a club season, could not be a worse thing for a team that already had chemistry issues before the World Cup. Now, how's it going to look going forward?
Spurs considering Jordan Pickford as a long-term replacement for Hugo Lloris, 7 years younger and over at Everton. Sorry, Tom Russo. Arsenal opening talks with Bukayo Saka over a new deal in the coming weeks and months. Tell me if you've heard this one before. Former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane could replace former teammate Didier Deschamps as coach of the France national team in the wake of their World Cup final defeat to Argentina. That's courtesy of our friends at Mundo Deportivo.
That needs to happen.
Arsenal and Leeds have joined the race to sign Brazil forward Mateus Cunha, with Atletico Madrid preparing to sell. It's from our friends at Goal. Chelsea confident they can seal the signing of RB Leipzig and Croat center back Josko Gvardiol, despite being aware of rival interest. And this is interesting for MLS. Benfica are keen on signing Chicago Fire forward Jean Durant, with Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester United also interested in the 19-year-old Colombia striker. Everton midfielder Alex Iwobi set to sign a new deal after they agreed to terms to an extended contract. Chelsea in contention to sign Borussia Dortmund's 18-year-old Germany striker Youssoufa Moukoko in January. Inter Milan have initiated contact about signing former England defender Chris Smalling, 33, on a free transfer when his contract with Roma runs out in the summer. That's from our friends at Calcio Mercato.
Good luck getting him out of Roma. I think everything that I've read says that he loves living in Rome. Now, what's going to happen with Mourinho? I don't think Mourinho is going to be there much longer. I could see Portugal come calling. Portugal, I could see making a panic move if they honestly believe that Brazil is going to come knocking on that door. I could see them jumping at the chance to, let's bring him in. But Smalling to Inter will be interesting. I don't think that's a move that's going to happen as long as Smalling feels like he can. As long as he feels like he still has a place in Rome and is valued by whoever the manager is going to be. I don't think he's leaving.
A couple more. Slovakia defender Milan Skriniar has yet to respond to Inter about the offer of a contract extension with the 27-year-old's current deal expiring in June. And Inter are considering a move to sign former Watford midfielder Roberto Pereira, 31, when his Udinese contract expires. That's from our friends Fichajes.
There's a lot of talent that on teams that are typically not mentioned on the global soccer circuit. Udinese, Fiorentina. Right now, Amrabat should be on the wish list of every team out there. The fact that you're not hearing more about Amrabat, I think it's a couple reasons. One is that the media is focusing on players of more CONMEBOL, UEFA origins than North African. but Amrabat should be somebody who should be first and foremost on almost every transfer wish list. I mean, if you saw this man play, I don't know how you watch Morocco play and thought that this is something that I can get out of just about anyone. No, Amrabat put on an absolute show in this World Cup.
How many pictures, how many still photographs are there of the tackle of Mbappe?
So many. If I'm his agent, I'm sending that picture out.
No resume needed. Here's a photo.
Yeah. Why should we sign your? Oh, this is why. Okay. Got it. So, yeah. And not to mention that at Fiorentina, there's going to be the ability for you to get more value out of your buy is there. You're not having to overspend on your transfer budget, because Fiorentina is a team that you can probably have a little more negotiation room with. Camiso is going to be tough, but Amrabat, I think the talent's there. And the pipeline of players from Fiorentina historically has been one that has paid off for the teams that have brought these players in, whether you're talking about Roberto Baggio, Chiesa. There's that one Liverpool guy, the Egyptian guy, his name escapes me. Yeah, he was at Fiorentina for a bit too. Look, it's the pipeline's there. Vlahovic, it's there, and they know that. They're going to try to keep it from happening, but with a name like Amrabat, as long as he's happy, he may not want to move, but that it shocks me, not really, that his name is not being bubbled up to the surface more. But I'm glad to see Udinese is in there, is in that conversation. That's a team that could use a transfer, some plus Valenza happening for them. I think that's something that would really work well for their budget, and that's what Serie A needs, to be honest. We're a developmental league. Right now our mission in life is to develop talent and keep what we can and sell what we must. And that's been unfortunate, but it's the way that economics work.
Also on the board from John Arnold Diaz reports Honduras center back Daniel Maldonado is joining LAFC on a year-long loan from Motagua with the option to buy. Previously went on loan to Grupo Pachuca clubs when Marco Antonio Garces, LAFC's current director of football operations, was working there. So that's late news out of that. Some stuff in the lower divisions, Nick, before we go. Mm-hmm. You've got in League One a lot of coaching news. Jay Mims resigns from Union Omaha. Ian Cameron signs a multi-year contract extension to stay with Tormenta. There was interest in other locations. And Ziggy Koritoski is now the new head coach in Chattanooga, and he has coaching experience from all across the globe. Central America, he was at Antigua GFC in Guatemala. Apertura and Clausura there. He was in the Northern Marianas Islands coaching the men's and women's national teams, served as an assistant at Cal Poly, San Diego State, and Harvard, and was also most recently the head coach of Albion San Diego in Nisa. So Ziggy Koritoski, now the new head coach in League One. In the championship, you have Santi Moar returning to New Mexico United. Milan Olaski signs a contract extension at Orange County. Niall McCabe re-signs with Lou City. Hartford brings back Tristan Hodge on defense. Ben Ofemu re-signs with Miami FC. Tampa Bay acquires Charlie Dennis via transfer from Oakland. And also, a lot of big names have moved in the offseason. Tyler Pasher to Birmingham, Malik Foster to Colorado Springs, Antoine Opano from Detroit City to Hartford Athletic, Sebastian Guenzotti from Tampa Bay to Indy 11, and that was a big one there. Greg Hurst to New Mexico United, Manuel Arteaga to Phoenix Rising, Russell Cicerone from Pittsburgh to Sacramento Republic. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the lower divisions too.
Mims leaving Omaha is the one that really blows my mind. Mm-hmm. I would like to see where he's going, because the show that he put on in the Open Cup was just magnificent. And the way that he had that Omaha team prepared for everyone, they took the fight. It didn't matter where they were playing. They took the fight to everyone. So that's a coach that the next place he shows up, you should feel very good about where your program's going, because that guy, that doesn't seem to me like a flash in the pan performance. What we saw, that you don't get, you may get a cup set here, a cup set there, but to do cup set after cup set after cup set, that's preparation and planning and being able to attack your, figuring out how to, to set up your attack in a repeatable way. That guy needs, if an MLS club came calling for him, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd like to see where he is.
And Michael, had to answer your question. Andrew Carlton seems to have found a home in San Diego in the USL Championship. So that's where we are right now. Let's see. It still looks like an 82. It looks like 81-19 margin for Atlanta United releasing their schedule this afternoon. So keep an eye just after lunch, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. The full schedule for Atlanta United comes out. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Everyone will be in. I think Dylan Butler is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock to talk about it as well. Last thoughts from you before we go.
My last thoughts are, don't be a nationalist buffoon online. I don't think that's too hard.
No.
I say it and I'm thinking to myself, how difficult is it to not be a racist douchebag online?
Yeah, that seems to be kind of hard these days. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, don't be a racist clown online. It's not a good look. Employers and future prospective employers will dig it up, and you will watch those job prospects evaporate because you just felt the need to be an idiot racist online.
There you go. Don't do that. So,
don't do that.
So on those words, Nick, if you would please, sir, send us home.
Okay. Until next time, everybody, please take care of each other, be kind to each other, and be accepting. All right. It's not that hard. Be accepting of some people. All right. Till then, mucha Euro y'all, and definitely not in real life, Mr. Corsi. Definitely a good call. Definitely not in real life. Mucha Euro y'all.
What he said. Played safe. We'll see you tomorrow.